least 20 typhoons visit the country every year, with at least 3 of those being super typhoons. Meanwhile, 300 volcanoes call the Philippines home, 22 of which are active. 90 destructive quakes and 40 tsunamis have touched our shores in the past 400 years, which ranks us as the second most disaster-prone country in the world, next to Vanuatu. Shouldn't we be foremost in disaster preparedness then?
Sigurado ko mga gusto ninyo ang inyong mga tingog na tunggan calculation. You'll take a very short break and then when you return, we'll continue on.
These are things to have in mind that you believe to end your needs and that which first world class care tayo natin
It is a very better and whatever the Welcome to Dynamic Living, the Total You, dear viewers and listeners over the radio. Today, we are very much honored to have with us the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, their president. It is actually an organization of private companies that does a very good job in helping our industries and our nation prepare for disasters. I'd like to welcome to the show Mr. Butch Miley. He's the president of PDRF. Magandang araw po sa inyo, sir.
Magandang araw, Dr. Jean. I'm really happy to be here on Dynamic Living.
Opo, kasi alam po natin kung gaano kahalaga ang inyong role, no? The role that you play, your people, the way you have actually come up with a team wherein you can help us out during disaster. So, what comprises the PDRF, sir?
Well, yung PDRF, Dr. Jean, is one of the most unique organizations sa buong mundo. Actually, we're very proud na nauna yung Pilipinas dito in this area sa mga disaster resilience at disaster preparation. PDRF is composed of about 82 companies all around the country.
82 companies all over.
Yes, napakarami ho. It includes mga larger companies in the country and includes the smaller ones. It was set up after yung Ondoy floods dito sa Manila. Ay, naalala ba ninyo, noong 2009?
Yes,
talagang,
yung impact noon.
Oh, grabe. At that time, walang Doppler radars yung Philippines. So, we could not tell na yung intensity of the rain. So, akala ng mga tao, that Saturday morning in November ata yun, it was just a regular storm. Eh, hindi nila alam, by the end of that Saturday, yung mga kali natin, naging mga, parang mga dagat yan eh. And maraming namatay. So from that, the president at the time, President Macapagal Arroyo, set up a public-private sector partnership, and doon nag-umpisa yung PDRF. And from that, we started first on yung mga trying to help during the Ondoy effects, yung mga people who were displaced. We rebuilt schools, and from that beginning, we also set up a fiber optic cable. Nalaman kasi ho namin na walang connection yung Pag-asa Weather Bureau tsaka yung Office of Civil Defense.
So kayo po ang nag-initiate noon?
Yes, because we thought it was important na makakommunicate yung dalawang critical agencies na yun eh. So one of our companies, kasi what we do is we don't give money per se, but we use yung core expertise ng mga companies namin. Like yung PLDT, tumulong sila, naglagay sila ng fiber optic cable from yung Pag-asa tsaka yung OCD. So ngayon, nakaka-communicate sila with the internet and all that, and that was very important. And we also started yung Marikina Watershed Program kasi alam namin na yung waters of Ondoy, marami nang galing sa mga mountains surrounding Manila, kaya na-flood ang Pasig, na-flood din ang Laguna Lake. So we're reforesting yung Marikina Watershed, and we're trying to get the people there to stop chopping down the trees kasi Marami doon chopping trees for charcoal.
At mapapansin po natin, sir, na you are now at the forefront, ang PDRF, for there is a disaster, whether it be in Metro Manila or in the peripheries. And we will be discussing the Marawi crisis in a while, kung ano din ang mga naitulong ninyo doon. So how do you ensure coordination po and collaboration? Kasi kayo private sector po kayo, di po ba? With the government. Remember that the government has its own, yung tawag nating mga national disaster risk command center nila, meron din naman tayong mga provincial. So how does PDRF come into play with the government?
Well, Dr. Chin, we work closely with the government. Yun ang usapan We have a representative, always NDRMC, yung National Disaster Recovery Council, and we work closely with them and with the UN cluster system. May cluster system ang PDRF. Tinatawag namin mga lifeline clusters. Water, power, telecoms, roads, search and rescue, logistics. Lahat yan, all of our 82 companies are divided into these 8 clusters. And yung mga clusters na yan, nakapantay, nakaparallel against mga government clusters on one side and yung UN clusters on the other side. So nag-interact kami together. So we do not issue, for example, mga warnings or mga ganun without the government. Nauna parati yung government and we work closely. Kung anong nangangailangan nila, doon kami pumapasok. Like during Super Typhoon Yolanda, Department of Education asked us for to help yung emergency feeding program para sa mga bata. Kasi sabi nila, if they do it, it will take them months kasi may bidding process na yan. So, tin-earn over nila sa private sector and we were able to do it quickly. Another example is during Yolanda din, yung Department of Trade and Industry. Their idea was to revive yung mga small businesses sa Yolanda affected areas. And these are talagang mga simple lang mga businesses like dressmaking, mga karinderya. But they said kung silang gagawa,
matagal.
Babalik pa sila sa Kongreso. It will take them a year. So they turned to PDRF and kami nang gumawa.
Pero sir, kasama dun sa clusters ninyo na hindi nyo nabanggit, na mahalaga din, is actually health, di ba? Kasama din sa inyo yun, di po ba? I mean, that's also included sanitation, health, education. Heto po ba kasama din sa inyo nasasakupan?
Yes, right after yung Super Typhoon, Yolanda, we started 5 initial clusters. Yun ang umpisa ng PDRF, yung 5 clusters. It was health and sanitation, it was education, livelihood, shelter, tsaka environment. And yun ang unang division ng companies into those 5 clusters. Kasi we saw that yun ang pinaka-urgent na needs na kailangan nun. And so we were able to build schools with the help of many Filipinos overseas and even ordinary people from abroad who gave donations. And then we were able to build health clinics. We were able to rebuild some and build new ones. We were able to build ang tinatawag nilang evacuation centers. Kasi nalaman namin na yung soil sa Leyte, napaka-soft ho yan. And yung ilalim ng soil sa mga Leyte is too big. So we had to dig very deeply, nag-soil study kami, and make it very solid. So ngayon we have about 4 typhoon-resistant evacuation shelters throughout Leyte that we've constructed.
Ko po with what you're telling us, and I think our viewers are very excited listening to you. Parang nakikita natin na, of course, the government is doing something, but here you are, a private group of companies that you banded together to be able to help the Filipino nation. Mapapansin natin, very fast-moving yung action.
Yes.
Kasi alam naman natin, pag sa government, tama nga yun, babalik pa sa Kongreso, marami pang dadaanan, the red tape and the bureaucracies is such, unlike a private sector na, okay, pag meet natin, action agad.
Yes, that's true. And actually, yung nangyari during Yolanda, nakita ng United Nations and the rest of the world, they're using it as an example of how yung private sector can become an actor in sa humanitarian scene. Dati hindi sila sigurado how to handle it, but when they saw the way PDRF was interacting and moving quickly, they began to adopt this model so that now there are 13 countries around the world.
That's copying this.
Yes, as part of PDRF. In fact, para kaming Peace Corps, nagpadala kami ng representatives sa Myanmar, Sri Lanka, tsaka Fiji in order to teach them how to use their private sector organizations to become actors in humanitarian response tsaka preparedness.
In other words, sir, it's so amazing to know na tayong mga Pinoy can be a leader somewhere along the line with,
Yes.
with this kind of work. Pero what are the other activities na you closely coordinate with the government?
Well, for example, Dr. Jean, we have something called we have the first of its kind Emergency Operations Center. First of its kind in the world that's run by the private sector. It's initially dito sa Makati, sa Shell, hosted for free, but we're building another setup sa Clark para medyo malayo in case may earthquake. But we use that EOC na tinatawag namin to coordinate with the government. And as part of that, we have yung tinatawag namin business continuity programs. Ito yung for mga small and medium-sized enterprises. Kasi alam namin yung mga big companies medyo handa, but yung mga vendors and suppliers and clients nila, mga small companies.
Which comprises quite a huge number in the Philippine economy, di
Oh
ba?
my
Itong mga
gosh.
SMEs, 80% yata sila.
Mga ganun. Mga ganun. And yung statistics have told us all around the world na pag tinamaan sila ng devastation, they're the least likely na makakabalik. So we're focusing yung business continuity efforts together with the government on yung talagang making sure na mas resilient itong mga small businesses. In addition, we've developed a program for continuity for government agencies mismo so that they will be prepared and that they can recover quickly once tragedy strikes.
Kasi if you notice, yung pangalan niyo po, Philippine Disaster Resilience. Resilience is
True.
something that should be inherently present among each one of us. And it's the one that will really make us makabangon tayong muli .
That's right. We changed our name actually. After Ondoy, it was called Philippine Disaster Recovery Foundation. Tapos ginawa naming Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation. Kasi we wanted to cover nga exactly what you said. Hindi lang yung relief, recovery, rehabilitation, but yung preparedness tsaka mitigation. Because the money you spent being prepared is worth 7 times what you spend pag may nangyari na yung
Sa
na
sakit lang yan,
crisis.
parang sa sakit lang yan, Sir Butch. You know,
Yes.
prevention will always be better than cure.
That's right.
And
That's
anything
right.
that we can prevent, anything that we're prepared for, we will be, lucky and we would be able to rise again. Pero Sir,
That's right, Doctor.
what preparations are really needed for us to become resilient when disasters do arise?
Well, depende, Dr. Gino. If you're talking about individuals and families, for example, kasi maraming kababayan, mga relatives of people around the world here in the Philippines, they want them to be safe. And each family really has to have a plan. Kasi hindi natin malalaman, the Philippines is one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world. That's a fact. May volcanic eruptions, may earthquakes, may super
Storms,
typhoons,
yes.
and may because of the maraming traveling, may mga possibility of pandemics. So each family.
Nadagdag natin ngayon, Sir Butch, yung ating mga yung inner wars natin ngayon, which we will be
That's
discussing
true.
mamaya.
That's true.
No? Parang nadagdag siya ngayon sa list ng ating mga dapat paghandaan.
Civil conflict. Plus, we don't want to talk about it, though we have discussed this with the government, but just in case this nuclear explosion, for example, sa Pacific, we have statistics showing there'll be 2.5 million more cancer deaths in the Pacific area kung may nag-explode ng atomic
Malapit
bomb.
lang tayo .
Yeah,
Contiguity.
depende kung saan mangyayari, no, tsaka where the winds are. So we've talked about all these things, but each family nga should have a plan. Kasi if there's a crisis, we can assume na baba yung walang internet, walang cellphone service. So they should talk among themselves, saan ba tayo makikita? So dapat may meeting point ng each family. And we're also encouraging each family to have yung mga to-go bags. We got this from the Japanese. Lahat ng mga importanteng dokumento ninyo, nandun lahat, mga passports, mga deeds, and yung mga tubig, mga flashlights, mga whistles in case may rubble na nangyari and nasa ilalim ka, to let people know that you're alive. All these things should be in your to-go bag, and every family should have it so that you can survive. And para kung may sudden catastrophe like an earthquake, kunin mo lang yung to-go bag, takbo ka na. and at least you can survive for a few days.
Ang ay kinaganda po nito, yung binanggit ninyo na families, kasi basic structure
Yes,
yan eh.
yes.
So pag natamaan kasi, hindi naman yung buong lugar na siya yung tatamaan, kundi it starts with the families eh. So kung lahat ng pamilya natin, educated sila, and they know what they're gonna do in cases of, events like this happen, malaking bagay po yun.
Yes, because for us Filipinos, and for everybody around the world, the family is the most important. Meron kami Dr. Jean tinatawag na Family Preparedness Program na napaka-popular because we realize naman, even those who are working during a crisis, the first thing they're going to do is to take care of their families. So many companies have started adopting itong Family Preparedness Program so that alam nila, their families will be prepared, then the employees can focus on working. And we also have ang tinatawag namin na WARE program na we can geotag each employee. Bibigyan namin ng report card. Just tell us where you live, and then we can analyze yung mga hazards sa area mo, and then you'll get a report card at the end of the day saying, ito, malapit ka sa Marikina Fault. Ito, yung creek na yan, delikado yan during flooding. And that's very helpful for mga employees. So both programs have become very popular.
Pero this should be adopted on a larger scale, sir. Kasi what you're doing now, it's really a very good program, pero it's limited so far. Pero if it becomes adopted by the government so that everybody working, like for example, in this particular area, whether it's government or private institution, if they are geotagged, yun nga
Yes.
sinasabi ninyo,
Yes.
mas madali yung paghahanap natin.
Yes, that's true. Meron nga kaming mapa of the entire, not just the Philippines, but the world. So itong Emergency Operations Center, we can track yung mga storms kung saan pumupunta. And we can try to send warnings. But we let the government take the lead. Yung usapan namin. Sila lang magbibigay ng mga warnings, and then we give mga advisories sa mga member companies. But it is important to spread the word around and to make people more aware. Ang masasabi ko lang ngayon, I think the Filipinos are much more aware of what the dangers are than they were before yung
10, 20
Yolanda.
years ago, di ba?
Yeah.
Parang ang layo ng narating natin, no?
Yeah.
After all of those disasters, parang na-educated naman tayo at we learned from our past mistakes.
We're much better, and now we've become a role model for the rest of the world. Yung Yolanda, yung namatay is mga 6,000 to 10,000.
6,000 more.
Yeah, depending on who you ask. Pero the latest casualties, because the government has adopted yung pre-evacuation, it's down to mga 50 to 100. Still too many, but much less than it used to be. So talagang pinag-aaralan tayo ng mga tao from all over.
How does one company, kasi a private group of companies kayo so it's
Yes.
not an individual thing that would want to join PDRF. So it's a company. So how do these companies come to you and tell you na, okay, Sir Butch, we'd like to be part of what you're doing because we believe in it?
Well, marami kaming mga ang tinatawag na pre-agreements, Dr. Jean, in which we work with the Hotel Association of the Philippines, for example, na kung may mangyayari na tragedy, we'll work together to prepare you, and we'll work together during crisis. So you can become a member either individually as a company or through mga associations that we have, like mga construction or mga engineers. So maraming ways that they can become members. We try to have individual, ang tinatawag, memorandum of agreements with each company. For example, UPS, they will give a contribution, but part of that is marami silang mga aeroplano So during a crisis, ang
This can
usapan
be
namin,
deployed to bring in
yes.
relief aids.
Yes, and mga doctors and nurses. Kasi napaka-importante dyan during a crisis yung logistics. How do we get the help from one place to another? Nakikita mo ngayon sa Puerto Rico. Kita mo, we even
Hirap
got...
dalhin, di ba? Yun yung
Yes.
kailangan talaga na, kasi parang ang mapapansin natin, Sir Butch, for our viewers, no, na sake na preparedness is here.
Yes.
But then when it happens, what are we going to do also? And then after it happens, di po ba? And then
Yes.
after it happens again, what? Parang, kasi magkakarugtong po yan You cannot just be prepared, not doing also something post-calamity.
That's true. In fact, that's one of our emphasis. Kasi after a while, nawawala na yung media. And we realize it takes years to recover from a super typhoon, for example, they're still rebuilding in Leyte. There are many communities that have been left out. And I mentioned yung Puerto Rico. Believe it or not, Puerto Rico has reached out to the PDRF to see if we can help them. They've asked us for an island, to help an island called Vierques Island. Yung hindi lang namin yung alam yung mga logistics. And we're still trying to see if we can put together a medical team, for example, of either mga Filipino-Americans or doctors who can help, or doctors from here sa Makati Med who we can send there. But it's really happening na people around the world are turning also to us to, I mean, humingi na kami ng tulong, pero they're also asking us, tumutulong din kami.
So napakaganda po ng ating ginagawa ngayon kasi it's not just for our nation, pero we're reaching out to our brothers and sisters outside of here. Di po ba? So how do you operate, sir, the PDRF? How does your operation go? Like, is it only through the virtual network or are there operation centers? So how do we reach out to this whenever there's a calamity?
Well, we have a public website, ang tinatawag na PH72, that people can sign in on. But the main way we operate is through yung mga clusters ho. And these clusters have regular meetings and they study both preparedness tsaka response. And we hold mga drills quite often. In fact, sumasama kami sa mga Metro Manila Shake Drill or minsan NDRMC or yung World Food Program recently had a 7-day doon kami nakatira sa Clark, and talagang simulating yung conditions during an earthquake. Walang communication, konti ng pagkain. They had to live off on their own in the Clark fields there.
Pero sir, parang ano siya if it's here in Metro Manila, there's no doubt about it na napakaganda ng inyong ano dito. Pero what about the peripheries po? Are your clusters as actively involved, and are they as actively, can be easily reached out when it's in the periphery, like in Mindanao, Central or Northern Mindanao or Eastern Mindanao or in Visayas?
Well, ang ginagawa ho namin, Dr. Jean, is yung many of our companies are nationwide. So marami silang mga facilities. For example, yung Louvillier Group, they have like 2,000 pawn shops around the country. Or yung Coca-Cola, marami lang silang mga outlets tsaka dealers. Or yung Smart and Globe, marami rin yan. But in addition, may mga areas talaga wala kaming partner na company. So we partner either with the local Chamber of Commerce or mga local NGOs on the ground. And doon kami pumapasok. We work with them because we realize we cannot cover 7,000 islands.
That's so huge for you to be able to handle.
Very
Pero
difficult.
at least, yes. So how do we ensure quality implementation of the programs that you have?
Well, we have coordinators, and I think you might meet one of them later on in the program, who handle several clusters, and they handle particular programs, and they're the ones responsible for making sure that these things happen and that everything goes smoothly. For example, I think you'll be able to talk about yung mga Batanes, which is recently hit.
yung mga malalayo talaga at mahirap pasukin, 'di ba sila yung pinakamakakawawa, sir?
Well, we were able to get a donation. For example, may mga 10-wheel truck kami naka-station in order to bring goods. But in addition, we use yung mga core resources ng each company. For example, if a company has generators, or if a company has trucks, or if a company has fuel, we ask them for that. Tumulong naman kayo ng for example, NLEX. Every time there's a crisis, they provide us with mga trucks to send our either relief goods or mga aid workers to go to mga kailangan. Ang job ng PDRF through our operations center is to coordinate yung mga sinasabi namin, ito may blocked road dyan, hindi kayo pwedeng punta dyan. Pero ito may search and rescue team namin, padadala rin namin yan together with the NDRMC.
Pero mahalaga po yung coordination na yan, Sir Butch.
Yes.
Kasi unless you have a very good coordination, you have good coordinators there in place, mahihirapan din tayo kahit na okay, well, we're really prepared to help you out. Pero walang coordination, baliwala yun, di po ba? So how do we sustain yung inyong sustainability po? Kasi we're talking about, okay, nagsimula kayo ang PDRF after Ondoy, and now you are still very actively involved, at saka kayo ngayon mas malaki na at mas malawak yung inyong coverage ng tulong at marami na kayo nagawa. Pero in terms of sustainability, kasi it requires manpower, it requires resources, it requires dedication and commitment. So how do you sustain that, sir?
Well, there's a couple things, Dr. Jean. During our early years, after Ondoy, tsaka during Yolanda, nag-i-spike ang mga contributions from Filipinos and from, believe it or not, many different faith-based organizations overseas ang tumutulong. And napakalaki ang mga contributions. So we're able to use that for the relief and recovery efforts. But for something like yung Operation Center, which is unique in the world, dun humihingi kami ng mga contributions sa mga member companies. We ask for mga membership fees, and naka-tier yan because ang nagagawa ho namin is that we're able to plot out yung mga hazards, but in addition, we're able to include yung mga facilities sa mga individual companies na password protected yan, so that it's secure. Because one of the unique things about PDRF, even though magkalaban kami sa business, when it comes to mga disasters,
you are one.
Yes,
united kayo.
Nagtutulong-tulong kami.
Has it happened, Sir Butch, na meron kayong members na umalis, members sila sa inyo, and then bigla silang, okay, ayaw na naming maging member. Is there such a thing as that? Or hindi nangyayari yon?
Hindi naman. Not so far, because it's something that everybody naman wants to help. Disaster really unites Filipinos. There may be other organizations which are doing different things, and but PDRF is really sort of the model for everybody else, not just in the Philippines,
everybody would
but
want
in the
to
world.
join that kasi alam naman nila napaka-noble nung ginagawa, di po ba? And the help that you have is very palpable.
Yes.
And we will be discussing that. You know, we have a model now with what happened to us in Mindanao.
Yes.
We'll take a very short break, and when we return po, we'll continue on with our discussion here. Very interesting for us to learn na hetong mga private companies, sila po ay kabalikat ng ating bayan, ng ating gobyerno upang tulungan tayo. Please stay tuned to Hope Channel.
First and foremost is you have to prepare things when considered as valuable. When dali mo mabuhat. Unlike doon sa may bibigat na things is when sagabal talaga. So you have to prioritize things, especially like for example, lahat makontrata.
Only the thing lang yun is yung prayer. Kung parati tayong magdadasal in times of disaster, there's no impossible with God, diba? Wala talaga imposible sa Kanya.
Sa akin, hindi ko masabi na mayroon na akong or nakapaghanda na ako kasi hindi naman talaga yun ang priority ng isang individual, no? But in case there is a news na magkaroon ng dilubyo or anong disaster like typhoon, siguro maghahanda ako para to survive.
At least 20 typhoons visit the country every year, with at least 3 of those being super typhoons. Meanwhile, 300 volcanoes call the Philippines home, 22 of which are active. 90 destructive quakes and 40 tsunamis have touched our shores in the past 400 years, which ranks us as the second most disaster-prone country in the world, next to Vanuatu. Shouldn't we be foremost in disaster preparedness then?
much happy to be here in the studio of the North Philippine Union Conference in Manila with our episode When Disaster Strikes. And andito pa rin po ang ating President sa Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, si Mr. Butch Miley. And of course, we are now joined by Miss Melissa Lavente. She's the Recovery Program Officer of the PDRF. Magandang araw din sa iyo, Miss Melissa.
Magandang umaga po, Dr. Jean, and thank you for having me here at Dynamic Living.
Yes, so kanina narinig mo yung aming pinag-usapan ni Sir Butch tungkol sa inyong structure at paano kayo mag-respond when there is a problem, hand in hand with the government. Balikan ko muna si Sir Butch. Sir Butch, ano-anong mga core strengths or areas ninyo meron kayo sa private sector that makes you a very good partner with the government in terms of, addressing problems when a disaster strikes?
Well, Dr. Jean, in the Philippines, much of the economy is yung private sector. So yung mga key areas, yung mga telecoms, as I mentioned, mga tubig, mga kuryente, mga roads, mga hospitals, a lot of those areas, you need the private sector to enable you to prepare and to recover from disaster. And ang goal nga namin is to have mga agreements with the government. Parang sa Japan, they're able, after an earthquake happens, within 6 days, their roads are repaired. Not by the government, but by yung mga private companies. Kasi may usapan na sila na kung mangyaring earthquake, kung masira yung road, wala namin sasabihin, basta ayusin lang ninyo. And that's the way we want to be able to function with the government eventually, so that when some disaster strikes, we don't even have to talk. Gagawin na namin, ayusin na namin. And what we've been doing is, for example, pag may mawalan ng power during a typhoon, Meralco, for example, sends mga linemen, hundreds of linemen. They stay in an area for mga weeks on end, on their own, even sometimes during mga Easter or Christmas breaks, to help the local electric co-op restore power. And yun ang strength ng private sector.
At saka siguro, Sir Butch, kaya very strong ang partnership ninyo with the government. Hetong private sector kasi, they don't really have to pass through a lot of bureaucracies or red tapings. Kayo kasi in place na lahat, so diretsohan na lahat. Ngayon po, are there criteria or requirements for one? Kanina tinanong ko na po yun sa inyo kanina na sino ang pwedeng sumali at sinagot nyo na po. Pero is there such a thing as a requirement for one to become a member of the PDRF?
The only requirement is that you're interested and that you want to help the country. Because this gives you an opportunity to help the country, and even though you're not part of the government. So actually, yung key decision maker, yung CEO ng company. And whether you're a big company, a medium-sized company, or a small company, we welcome you because you have a role to play. And di lang yung Manila, pero Cebu, Davao,
Mindanao,
wherever.
Batanes siguro kasama doon, di ba?
Batanes and where Melissa has been. And yung mga Bicol Chamber of Commerce, yan, very active yung mga different chambers of commerce because we work with mga PCCI, Philippine Chamber of
So ano po,
Commerce
sir,
and
kaya ang
Industries.
benefit meron sila pagka sumali sila? Kasi sometimes, ang thinking na ibang companies na hindi pa sumasali, what do I get out of it aside from me being able to help?
Well, for one thing, you're able to take advantage of napakaraming training programs ng PDRF. Sa business continuity, meron kaming training on volcanic eruptions tsaka earthquakes together with fieldwalks. Meron kaming training on tropical weather patterns together with Weather Philippines of Aboitiz Foundation. Lahat yan, Dr. Jean, are available to member companies.
Wala po silang babayaran pag nagpadala sila ng tao for the training or for a minimum fee kailangan silang magbigay?
Yes, if they're members and they've paid their membership dues, usually kasama yan. If you're not a member, may bayad dyan.
Ang ikinagandahan nito, Melissa, if you're a member pala here of the PDRF, you can avail of all trainings na kakailanganin mo, for you to be able to work together hand in hand with them. Ikaw, you are in charge with the recovery program. Ano itong mga recovery programs and how does it work and function?
So as mentioned by Sir Butch earlier, meron kaming 5 clusters So there's education, environment, WISH, which is water, infrastructure, sanitation, and health, livelihood, and shelter. So actually even before Typhoon Yolanda, we've been working on these different clusters. An example of, for example, for education is we are helping funding a scholarship program in Tacloban and Palo Leyte for senior high school students.
Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga biktima ng
Yes.
ating Yolanda. So,
Yes.
sila ngayon, pwede silang mag-aral ng libre.
Yes, for their senior high school, which is important also for employment. So what we're doing is we're tying them up with TESDA, which is a national training institute ng gobyerno, so that they can get certifications even before they graduate. So it's better for employability.
So, sino ang pwedeng mag-avail nito? Like, for example, you go to Yolanda,
Yes.
To the place where Yolanda happened, and then may scholarship, Sir Butch, na ganyan.
Yes,
Lahat ba ng mga kabataan na senior high na nandoon nung panahon na yun, can they avail of this? And what would be the process by which they can avail?
So this is a 2-year program and run with the Embracing the World, which is an international organization, and then PBSP. So even before the school year started, meron kaming screening process. And at the end, we came out with 531 students.
Wow,
For
that's
Palo
amazing,
and Tacloban.
Sir Butch, di ba?
Yes.
531 students.
Yes.
That's not a
Yes.
small number. Would you like to comment on that?
Well, that's one way na talagang you feel you can see the people that you help. And that makes it very fulfilling for us. Because alam namin na without that help, yung mga ibang estudyante dun would not be able to do yung mga K11, K12 especially. So that's really heartwarming for all of us.
So, patuloy, yes, Miss Melissa.
So, iba rin yung pagpasok nila sa scholarship program, and then over the years, we monitor their progress. Okay ba yung grades nila, extracurriculars nila. So, that's our criteria for, parang may standard din kami na, of course, you're being given a scholarship, almost everything is being taken care of. You also have to do your part in really studying well. And we've had excellent scholars who are part of the top 10, top 20
Ang
of
galing.
both schools na kasama po.
So aside from education, ano-ano pang mga programs meron kayo for the recovery? Kasi itong
Sure.
recovery, Sir Butch, balikan ko muna ikaw bago si Melissa on the recovery. Sinabi nga natin, preparedness, mahalaga. During the calamity, mahalaga yon. Anong gagawin natin? Post-calamity, recovery programs. Kasi yung recovery, matagal yan It's a
Yes.
process that is long, and then kailangan minsan, tama yung sinabi nyo kanina, na nawawala na yung interest ng world, nawawala na yung pag-highlight ng media kasi may iba na namang nangyayari, di ba? And that's the natural order of things. Pero the recovery program that you're doing is something that is palpable. Kasi makikita natin yan di ba, in the coming years. What other recovery programs are you involved in?
Sure. Actually, one of our early response transition to recovery programs is the one we did for Batanes. So, nagpadala kami ng shelter repair kits. These were more than, I think, 1,000 to 2,000 tons worth of shelter items to the island of Batanes. Yung Batanes, yung northernmost province in the Philippines. They're actually closer to Taiwan than mainland Luzon. Kaya medyo mahirap po yung logistics, getting everything up there, even yung mga pagbisita pa lang, pag-monitor. So, yung in terms of coordination ng PDRF, we had the support of the Philippine Navy and the provincial government of Batanes, so that they could send the items for free. Sakay kami doon sa Navy ship nila.
And you were there?
And we were there, opo.
Kasama ka dun talaga, as
Yes
in?
po, oo. Kasama po yan kasi mahalaga po sa amin na namomonitor din po namin yung mga programs namin. Hindi yung when we receive a donation, hanggang doon lang, and then report, tapos na. We really want to know na yung mga pinadating na sa amin na mga gamit or yung mga monetary donations ay nakakarating po talaga sa mga nangangailangan. So doon po, actually, very helpful din po yung local government dahil sila naman po yung nag-transport from the port hanggang doon sa mga bahay-bahayan. So sila po yung nagdala, I think, mga 6 or 7 trucks po na umikot po ng Batanes para ibigay po yung mga shelter items.
And you were there all along during
Yes
that
po,
time.
opo.
Matanong kita, Sir Butch, si Melissa nandun sa Batanes, no? Kayo po ba, meron po ba kayong mga pinupuntahan din na kasama kayo during the recovery programs? At ano po ito?
Well, I try to be there as soon as I can. For example, mga 4 days after yung Super Typhoon Yolanda, punta ako dun by chopper, naglanding kami sa Tacloban. And I was there and nakita ko nga na napakarami mga dead bodies on the street.
Yes, on the streets.
There are a lot of hungry people and you know, many of these bodies were naka-body bag, yung mga iba hindi. Yung mga iba nakatakpan lang ng yero. And may mga signs na paki-pick up 30 patay. And I could see yung mga ambulances, people were trying to stop them to pick up the dead, but they really did not have room.
During times like that, Sir Butch, how does it make you feel when you're right there on the situation, when you do the recovery programs and everything? You as a person, syempre lahat tayo meron tayong mga sariling mga feelings natin. How would you describe your feelings when you are at that moment?
Well, you know, I mean, you're always shocked when you see the devastation. Even during yung Zamboanga siege, I was there. But the desire to help your fellow Filipinos, your fellow human beings is there. And then I always get the feeling na yung ginagawa namin sa PDRF is really God's work. And that's the way I feel. And that really helps me push harder, work harder, and inspires me because I know that we're doing good things. And I want to do as much good as we can for as many people as we can.
Melissa, hetong pinaka-recent na nangyari sa ating bansa, which is in Mindanao, hetong Marawi siege, yung recovery programs ninyo, ano ang mga ginawa ninyo dito? And were you there?
Yes, around early August this year, we held a medical mission. And doon po kami na-host actually sa Adventist Medical Center sa Iligan City.
Yes.
Opo. Very good staff, very good venue for all of the operations. And it was really a very multi-sectoral, multi-partnership type of coordination kasi we had doctors and nurses from Makati Medical Center. Pero even from from Adventist Medical Center, nag-volunteer po sila ng time nila para tumulong po sa mission. And then we had the likes of Coca-Cola na nagbigay po ng logistic support. So sila po naglagay ng mga tents, namigay po sila ng free water and Coke products sa lahat po ng tao na nandoon sa area.
Okay.
At tapos we had the likes of Zuelig Pharma and Unilab donating medicines para meron po silang maibigay doon sa mga pasyente po.
Lahat yan, you coordinate lahat, di ba?
Yes
Sa inyo
po.
na end yan, sir, di ba?
Yes po.
And Cebuana Luwilier
Yes, and of course,
provided workers.
Opo, not just workers, ma'am. Support even to buy the medicines. Pero they sent around 13 of their full-time staff po para mag-volunteer ng 3 whole days. So hindi po, malaking tulong po lalo na yung meron pa kaming locals na tumutulong. Kasi for example, yung mga doctors po natin, marami pong taga-Luzon. So hindi po sila makapagsalita ng local language. Kaya sila po ang tumulong mag-translate, tumulong po doon sa mga pasyente hanggang makuha po nila yung mga care packages nila at medicines galing po sa Cook, pati sa mga medical organizations bago po sila nakaalis.
Dito natin makikita, Sir Butch, itong Marawi siege na ito,
Yes.
how fast your group, the PDRF, came into action to be able to help them. At nakapunta po ba kayo sa evac centers at saka sa Marawi itself?
We were able to go to the evac centers, but within Iligan, because we
Military-wise, yes.
could not go, unlike yourself, all the way to Marawi. We were considering it, lalo na sa eastern shore ng Lake Lanao. We were talking to the UN and International Red Cross, but we could not risk these doctors. They were already doing a lot, and we just decided that we would do as much as we could. We worked with the Department of Health. Dinala naman nila yung mga ibang evacuees. Ang base namin was Seventh-day Adventist Hospital and yung Luch Hospital din.
Which is a
And,
government institution
which is a
there.
government
Yes.
institution.
So everything was done and coordinated there. Kasi
Yes.
kami, we were there, we
Yes.
had to go there and we had to be accompanied by our military personnel to keep us safe. Pero
Yes.
makikita po natin, isa sa needs nila ngayon, which I think and I believe will continue on, would be the psychiatric help.
Yes.
Kasi mapapansin natin the effect psychologically, the trauma, PTSD, depression and everything. They've lost everything there. It's not something na, kumbaga, kunyari, nawalan tayo sa bagyo, nawala yung ating bahay, pero may maiiwan kahit papaano. At saka hindi tayo matutraumatize sa war that's going on. But this one is a different casualty, different type of disaster, and how prepared is the PDRF with this new addition in the list, in the long list that we have to be prepared for?
Well, yung conflict situations are always a little more difficult than yung mga natural disasters. And business organizations are sometimes reluctant, but PDRF has made a commitment to go in there. And we've already started working closely with the government. Ang areas namin is mga livelihood. We're preparing like what we did in Yolanda. There's a company called Suising, which is offering to help set up yung mga sari-sari stores. Kasi yun ang importante, yung
Opo,
supply
kasi yung mga
chain,
maliliit
Yes.
di ba? At saka yung, tama yung sinabi niyo, yung supply and chain, yung mga supply chains. Kasi, di ba, marami silang kailangan ngayon. At kailangan, hindi naman dole out Ako, I don't believe in dole out It has to be livelihood talaga para makapagsimula. There's dignity and pride
Yes, even the evacuees themselves have told us and the government, they don't want yung handouts. And sawa na sila sa mga sardinas, sa mga
Hindi na nga
ganun
nila kinakain yun
Oo, yun nga eh.
Buti pa daw ang aso nila, kumakain pa. Pero darating ang panahon, pati ang aso, ayaw na kumain
Oo,
noon.
nakakasawa.
So yung sinasabi niyo po na yung livelihood na yan, yes, can you expound on that?
Well, we're working with the government. Ang gusto nila is to set up yung mga sari stores, sari-sari stores. For example, doon na mismo sa evacuation camps. Because yung Maranaos are a trading people. So they want to be able to buy and sell. So we're working with yung mga wholesalers kung pwede na i-set up. That's one area. In addition, we're working with the Department of Trade and Industry. Tulad ng ginawa namin sa Yolanda. They will identify yung mga businesses which were lost, mga small businesses, and then we will in turn see if we can get the funding to provide yung mga implements and tools para makabangon uli yung mga ano.
Maganda po yan, Sir Butch. Alam niyo po kung bakit. It will, by putting them into their livelihood, Melissa, as part of the recovery program, it will help them recover emotionally, mentally, physically, and everything else, and even spiritually Kasi merong meaning ulit yung buhay nila.
Yes, I know that from personal experience. I think work gives you dignity, a job gives you dignity, and then as long as you have that, you're able to deal with your other problems and gives you help and your faith.
Yes. What about do you have other recovery programs, Melissa, aside from itong livelihood, about yung education na yan? Ano pa ang nagagawa ninyo at ginagawa ngayon?
Po, if I add lang po doon sa Marawi, more than the items, we also want to provide them training. So kasama po doon sa mga items na makukuha nila for their sari-sari stores or maybe kung ano po yung small business nila, meron pong financial literacy training para at least yung pag-manage din po nila.
Ay, gusto ko yan sinasabi mo. Yung financial literacy, Sir Butch. Alam mo, minsan kasi yan ang kulang natin. Yes, patuloy mo yan, Melissa.
Opo, para naman po hindi lang yung less of the dole out po and more of yung talagang training kasi it helps you prepare din po kung may, halimbawa, kung may mangyayari po ulit, at least alam nyo na po kung ano po yung mga pwedeng nyo magawin, yung mga plans, ano po pwedeng itabi para hindi naman po kayo mas ma-disaster kumpara po sa noon.
At saka yung financial literacy na sinasabi mo, mahalaga yan para alam nila paano paikutin yung maliit na meron sila.
Opo. Very important po yun. At yun po yung nakita namin na magaling dun sa partner namin sa Suising. Nung ginawa po namin yun sa Tacloban. So, aside from that po, we also...
So, it's really working, ha?
Yes
In other
po,
words,
actually.
it's working, it's workable, it's really ideal also.
Opo, kasi people have they're given their own way of managing of their business Hindi po yung, ito yung binigay namin, kayo na bahala na lang kayo. At least meron silang added knowledge na hindi po nila laging nakukuha sa mga ganitong klaseng programa.
Kailan ninyo ang target na yan para sa financial literacy at saka yung para sa livelihood programs ng mga evacuees ng Marawi? I mean, I'm pretty sure you have, a time frame for that wherein you would want to come in and help out on the recovery program.
Well, originally, our intention was to come in once peace returns, but since very protracted nga yung fighting, di natin alam kung kailan matatapos, the government is asking us to come in now. So we're working with yung mga Suising and mga ganun to see how we can set up those programs. In addition, we were asked by the Mayor of Marawi and other groups there to help in yung mga urban design of the new Marawi.
Yes, because it will be rehabilitated. There's going to be a transformation.
Yes.
So PDRF is also going to help in that aspect.
Yes, we've partnered with a group of architects and engineers called Assured, mga volunteers din. And we're going to set up a workshop sa Cagayan de Oro together with Mindanao State University and together with the communities there in order so that we can come up with an urban plan for the new Marawi. And we're hoping to get that off the ground soon.
Actually, you know, the mere fact na there are programs in place for this, plans and everything, this is the one that's, you know, putting the Maranao people, you know, in high hopes na at the end of this trouble, at the end of this war, there will be a better future for them.
Yes. And also, I think it's the collaboration of all the different companies and entities, and frankly, yung tulong ng Seventh-day Adventist Church. We were so impressed with your facilities in Iligan City. It's really a first-class hospital.
Actually, kasama niyo po lahat yata ng mga organizations and even the faiths and even the Seventh-day Adventists. At kami po sa Dynamic Living, we're your partners in bringing good news to these people. So what is your vision po, Sir Butch, being the president of the PDRF? Ano po ang vision ninyo at future para sa PDRF itself?
Well, my hope for PDRF is, if I can quote from the scriptures, is that men do not light a lamp in order to hide it under a bushel. They raise it up so that everybody in the house can see that light. And yun ang vision ko for PDRF, that it can be a light for the rest of the world so that they can see na may role ng private sector and other groups sa disaster preparedness and recovery. And that's also my vision, I think, for being here on this program, for Dynamic Living and for the Hope Channel, because you bring that message to people around the world, and yun ang light na hinahanap namin.
Okay, tanungin kita, Miss Melissa, anong mga challenges or difficulties meron kayo ngayon sa PDRF na sa tingin mo kami na mga ordinaryong mamamayan will be able to help out?
Sure po. Sa amin po kasi, yung disaster, it really starts with how do you prepare yourself Kasi pag may nangyari pong dilubyo, sabi po nila, you have 72 hours to really help yourself. You cannot rely on government, you cannot rely on your neighbor or anyone else. You know, you have to be prepared. You have to know how to respond or to help yourself when something does happen. Kasi, yun nga po. So, yun po sana yung wish namin sa mga Pilipino na, you know, every year we're hit with 20 or more typhoons. Yung mga earthquakes, there are 20 to 30 earthquakes that happen every day in our country.
Every day yun, ha?
Every day po.
Di ba yung mga di ba? Naririnig ninyo yun?
All around the world, actually.
Opo. Pero for the Philippines po, ma'am, kasi of course we're at the Pacific Ring of Fire, lagi pong may earthquake. Pero ngayon po mas nararamdaman natin kasi mas malaki po yung mga intensity, pati magnitude.
At saka siguro mas aware ang mga tao.
Yes po,
Yes,
opo.
very
Hindi
much.
kagaya nung araw na parang, okay, ano lang yun, parang umuuyog lang, parang ganyan. Ngayon
Yes
hindi
po.
na, everybody's aware na, oops, lindol yun.
Yes po. So, yun po. Let's start with self-preparedness. Know how to help yourself. So, get a family preparedness plan. Know where, kung may mangyari po, saan po kayo makikita ng pamilya nyo para hindi mo na iisipin saan ba ako pupunta, saan ko hahanapin yung nanay ko, tatay ko, yung mga anak ko. And then, you prepare your go bag. So, lahat po ng mahalaga doon, water, food, good for 3 days, and also yung mga important documents po. Kasi yun po yung nakikita namin after, halimbawa typhoon po, even the government, yung mga records po nila nawawala po. And it's harder to get claims or get, mga official, yung mga documents out once the hard copies are gone. So it's good to have a soft and hard copy po ready. And of course, with all that, you really should, how to help others. See how you can, prepare yourself para may makatulong ka rin sa iba after the disaster. So, disaster kasi affects everyone, whether you're rich or poor, young or old. Pero we're all in the disaster together. So, the only way that we can recover is that we help each other out.
Napakaganda ng mensahe naman ni Miss Melissa, parang naiiyak ako. Di ba, Sir Butch, we're in this together. Hindi po pwedeng ikaw lang or ako lang or siya lang, di po ba? So ano pa ang pwedeng gawin natin, no? Ano pa ang pwedeng gawin ng ordinaryong mamamayan upang matulungan ang sarili niya, aside sa sinabi ni Melissa, at para matulungan ang bayan as a whole?
Well, important thing is to be prepared. But in addition, we have set up like yung a tax-free entity dun sa US na it enables you to donate during a crisis sa Philippines. And you just look under, it's called the Philippine Disaster Relief Corporation, pdrc.org. And my website doon, and there's a button there in which you're able to donate using your credit card. So in case there's a crisis, let's all pull together yung spirit ng bayanihan. I think we have to show the world also that we can help each other, and we are stronger when we're together. So we should set aside all yung mga politics, all
Dapat
the
walang
divisions.
politics.
Yeah,
Kailangan talaga
eh.
tayo, iisa lang tayo. Sir Butch,
Well,
ano po ang mensahe ninyo sa ating mga kababayan?
Well, just to close this off, sana ho ay magtulong-tulong tayo. I think yung naalala ko lang yung quote ni Dag Hammarskjöld, yung former UN Secretary General. Sabi nga niya, there was a time in my life when I knew that somebody or something asked me a question, and I don't even remember what it was, but I remember answering yes to it. And once I answered yes, I realized that life and existence had a meaning, and that my life had a goal. And yun ang purpose ho ng PDRF. It gives us meaning and purpose and fulfillment in our lives. And sana ho lahat ng mga Pilipino, wherever you live and where in the world, magtulong-tulong ho tayo, because we're all together in this, and that helping each other helps everybody. So let's pull together and make this a better place for everyone.
Yes, thank you, Sir Butch. What about you, Melissa? What is your message to our viewers?
I just want to say thank you po for this opportunity to talk about PDRF and our work. And hopefully po we can see, more Filipinos coming together to help out in the disasters, not just here in the Philippines, but also wherever we are. Kung may mangyari naman po sa sariling lugar, be a representative of the Filipino, be a bayani for everyone.
Yes, napakaganda po ng mensahe ng ating mga panauhin dito po. Tandaan po natin, ang pagtulungan natin, or the way we help each other, is a reflection of us as Filipinos and as a nation. Sa Psalm 91:9-11, it says, "If you say, the Lord is my refuge, then no harm will ever overcome you." Magandang araw po sa ating lahat.
Dynamic living, making the best of you on fire. Dynamic living, sharing the faith, we're giving the love and bringing the total you.
If you have been blessed by this program, share hope and help us continue to bring hope everywhere. Send your donations to South Philippine Union Conference through any of the bank details shown here. Hope Channel, sharing love, changing lives.
Of course.
Sometimes. Why not? Yes. My brother.
My mom. And of course, my dad.
The policeman. Boss. My teachers.
My grandpa.
When I'm threatened.
When he stares at me.
When I hear his whistle. When they raise their voice.
When they call me by my full name.
Whenever he calls me like this. Hey, come on, bro. Because they're the love.
He's older than me.
My grade would be at stake.
They're my parents.
Since I'm younger than him, I'll be fired if I don't. You know.
Obedience
It's more than a state of being obedient.
it is our
Willful practice of obedience. Conscious
decision
to obey policemen
To obey
and
our
our
parents.
teachers. It means submission to the rules
which are meant.
to keep us safe. Likewise,
Obedience.
is a manifestation of love. I respect my
I love my mom. I love my
older
dad.
brother.
Besides,
It says we obey
our grandparents,
our older brother, people of authority, our
our
boss,
parents, in the Lord.
Lord.
For this is
That's right.
Aduna kabay buot masayran sa kinabuhi? Aduna ba'y kagawasan sa sala ug kasakit? May paglaong pa ba ang mga minatay? Unsa ba'y padulngan sa kalibutan? Mga higala, ipangutana kay pastor. Ipadala ang imong mga pangutana ug tubagon ni pastor gamit ang Biblia. Pangutana Pastor, usa ka serbisyong gidalit kaninyo gikan sa Hope Channel.